In 19th century London, one name stood for the height of elegance. Beau Brummell, for that was his true name, known in drama as Joyce, defined an entire age of style, and lived as the shadow behind the Prince Regent. His life was a lament, blooming in splendor then fading to ruin. Tonight, by the faint glow of candlelight, let us enter his legendary years, taught with fate and grace. If elegance had a name in the Regency era, it was Beau Brummell. He was the man whose cravat style left all of aristocratic London holding its breath. Yet fate's cruelest irony is this: the most refined souls often perish in the crudest loneliness. Close your eyes, and in this slow telling, watch him rise and fall at the center of power and fashion's storm. He was a fashion icon, yet a soul exiled. Beau Brummell's life wove the noise of high society with the silence of a madhouse. What brought him from royal confidant to a penniless prisoner of debt? Let this gentle story carry you through the quiet hours, and touch that gilded, lonely past. Imagine a shabby asylum in Cannes, France, in 1840. An elderly man in his 60s faces the wall, carefully tying an imaginary silk cravat. His fingers are withered, yet they move with an instinctive rhythm, as if he stands before the finest mirror in all London. Who could guess that this forgotten madman was once the fashion guru whose style the entire British royal court scrambled to copy? His name was Beau Brummell, often remembered as Joyce in romantic tales. Tonight, by the softly flickering fire, let us enter his real life through a story you do not have to struggle to remember. This is a tale of grace, power, betrayal, and downfall. When all the fancy tailcoats are covered in dust, we may finally see what terrified the soul that chased perfect dignity to the end. In the age of the Prince Regent, later George IV, London's high society cared less about your land than about the immaculate folds of your cravat. Beau Brummell made the rules. He was not born noble, yet faultless taste carried him into the innermost circles. It was said he spent 5 hours each day dressing, simply to make his dark coat seem to belong naturally to his body. This obsession with detail was a highly disciplined performance of social power. His London home became a shrine for gentlemen. Even the future king sat in his dressing room, learning to polish shoes properly. Brummell understood that in that rigidly hierarchical world, taste was his only protection and his ladder across class lines. He created dandyism, a calm, restrained, faintly arrogant elegance. This grace made him the Prince Regent's closest companion, and also a decorative ornament to power. But he never realized that when a man builds his entire worth on being watched, he walks step by step towards self-destruction. Brummell's relationship with the Prince Regent was a dangerous symbiosis, equal parts friendship and dependency. The prince adored his style, and relied even more on his social wit, which could turn awkwardness into charm. For years, a single frown from Brummell could make a lady's gown instantly out of fashion, a nod could grant a nouveau riche entry to the palace. This near-absolute dominion over taste gave Brummell an illusion: he believed he truly held power. He grew reckless, even mocking the prince's figure in public, a transgression that bordered on social suicide. High society's glitter was beautiful as foam, and just as fragile. Behind the scenes, Brummell drowned in gambling debts. To maintain his costly dignity, he took high-interest loans, buying uncompromising silk and perfume that never went on sale. His taste was flawless, his finances were in ruins. Beneath this extreme splendor lay a deep terror of poverty and exclusion. The more his world crumbled, the more he pretended indifference, a tension that finally pushed him over the edge. The collapse came on an unremarkable morning, when creditors burst through the door where even dukes once waited. Brummell fled, taking only a few suits, crossing the English Channel to Cannes, France. In London, his name vanished from every invitation list, as if he had never existed. Aristocrats who once clustered around him now spoke of him only with patronizing pity. In Cannes, Brummell clung to his last shreds of dignity. He rented a cheap room yet insisted his breakfast be served on a silver tray. He wrote daily to friends in London, craving a reply, but most letters were never answered. The psychological fall from pinnacle to ruin ate away at his sanity. He wandered the hallways at night, muttering the witty lines that had once made him famous. Without London's lights, his elegance felt like a ridiculous joke. His devotion was no longer social strategy, but a sickly obsession with his past glory, his only remaining anchor. In old age, poverty and illness finally broke the once great icon. He was committed to a public asylum, a place of filth and noise, the opposite of the cleanliness and calm he had pursued his whole life. There, nurses saw him as a strange madman. He would not eat mushy porridge unless it was neatly arranged. He even tore his bed sheets, trying to stitch them into the shape of cravats. Sometimes he hallucinated that the Prince Regent had come with the whole court to bring him home. He would straighten his tattered nightgown, stand rigid, and welcome imaginary guests in a trembling voice. Beneath this terrible loneliness lay a heartbreaking kind of dignity. He had chased beauty his entire life, even when it seemed absurd and helpless in the face of death. He was no longer a prisoner of fashion, he was a prisoner of memory. On the day before he died, he still tried to wash his face with clean water, even too weak to hold the basin. With his last strength, he kept his face clean, as if it were his ticket to heaven. Beau Brummell died on a cold night in 1840, with none of his London friends beside him. He left behind only a few faded silk cravats and a pile of unread letters. To answer the question from the start, what did he fear most? Perhaps not poverty, but mediocrity. Not death, but no longer being loved by beauty and style. His life was a grand ritual of appearance, in which he offered himself as a sacrifice to that false, glamorous age. Now the decades-long ball has ended, and his soul need no longer worry about folds and creases. In this silent night, may the quiet from glory to ruin bring you a sense of letting go. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and at the end of this story, bid farewell to the last guru of elegance. Good night, and sweet dreams.